Right, Kathy, you lead us to our final question, which is, when having a difficult conversation with a team member, how do you prepare for that? Also, does it change depending on their roles? I think the one thing that I took on this year as the new superintendent was the fact that, secret lunches in people's classrooms or, they're evident, but they can be horrific to a culture. So, having and confronting those and talking about them openly was something that I took on this year, but I just want to focus on our time and also on our last question, which is, how do you prepare for those difficult conversations? I'll be interested to listen to others, but also it has definitely changed in my role from being a principal now to superintendent. When I openly talked about those secret lunches, people definitely laughed and they said they do happen.
There's two strategies that I think that you can research after this. We won't go into it too much, but a concept called third point. And third point is that you're not having the conversation about the person and you. You're having the conversation about what the data is that you've seen that's happened. So it's a side-by-side conversation, and you're both actually looking at something else that's the third point. So look that up in research, and you can see what the dynamics are with that.
Anybody else want to chime in?
Yep. Okay. So we've used the third point quite effectively in our school. There is still relationship issues with that, but to have that third point and be able to talk not about the person or their behaviours, but talk about the data that comes from the third point. You've been late for 3 meetings. You're not prepared. Can you tell me why? We're not talking about you, but we're talking about the data of that. So that worked quite well within teams, but it still needs a lot of support for those collaborative members to have that's a conversation that can happen when there's a hierarchical figure talking to somebody, talking about those third points, but you really have to train up the people who are having peer kind of conversations, who are going to have those conversations with their team. If I'm just a member of a 3rd grade team or the science team, and one of my team is late all the time, do I have the ability or the strategies to have that conversation with the team member at that point, rather than wait till it accelerates to become an administrative issue? And that's where adherence to the norms is particularly effective. From an administrator's point of view, when we were doing some wholesale changes at the school, and we were using Kotter's 8-step change management model to do that, and building guiding coalitions around an imperative, what we also did was we almost stratified our faculty that was going to be affected by this, almost the same way as, say, a pool ball triangle on a pool table. Which is the person of the least resistance? Who can I convince first to do that? Is that person then connected to a person who's a little bit more reluctant, but not quite so reluctant, but they have a strong personal attachment? And then working with them, and then working sideways to work with another person, and then gradually going up through the pool ball kind of triangle of path of resistance, rather than trying to bring up the wave through the faculty who may have different levels of resistance, but to individually map out people's effect. If I'm going to bring in a new writing strategy, can I talk to somebody at this point who says, yeah, okay, I'm going to give it a go? And are they related to somebody closely that they can help support? So by the time you go up through the levels, you have this foundation of support that each teacher is working with somebody else, rather than just saying the administration rolling through a change in an initiative that people come to from as many different points as their personalities.